Yowza, yowza, yowza. Hey everyone, improv thoughts for the week. I've got some good information for all of you, and also some thoughts on the psychology side of improv. We have class tomorrow morning, yay yay! So we'll get those reps in. Hope to see you there. So on the psychology side, we're going to talk about the artistic side of it in a minute. But on the psychology side, I always have new students coming in that have, fears of public speaking, performance anxiety, those sorts of things, locking up in front of other people, which I think we all have that, and it's to varying degrees. But it is kind of an epidemic amongst people, and improv training is a great remedy for those situations because you can become very comfortable with the uncomfortable. So eventually, with enough improv training, you'll walk into the room and you'll be the most comfortable one because you'll be able to read everybody else in the room, and you'll be reading body language, and you'll be conscious of your body language. And you're also very comfortable with your own level of expression, which is another thing that happens in improv. Now, I will say that the improv journey is not a particularly easy one. So, when we first start improvising, we don't know what we're doing. We have no idea. So, our risk of failure, and failure really is being looking stupid. Let's just get that clear. So you walk into you're in your early days of improv training, and you walk in, let's say, to do a scene with someone else, and you have no idea what you're doing. The scene is probably going to be stupid. It's not going to be funny or interesting, and you run the risk of being humiliated and embarrassed and going through that whole psychological process. So there is a little bit of a quandary with the improv journey because when we're at the beginning stages of it, again, your probability of looking dumb, and really more importantly feeling dumb, taking it personally, and I certainly did. I did tons of bad scene work, and still to this day I will do work and I'll go, God, that wasn't very good. And now I'm more of the mind of, just as an artist, going, oh well, how can I do that better? What's something I could do differently? I used to really beat myself up and take it super personally, and it's something I had to plow through. I had to keep, picking myself up, dusting myself off, and going back and back and back and back again. And again, on my ego was really, really bruised, and I just kept at it despite all of that. And so a couple things happened. The training. I started to become a better improviser because it's just like building muscles. I was in the gym. I was in the improv gym all this time, and I started to get improv muscles. So now I'm going out and, um, doing better work. I'm feeling a little bit better about it. I knew it was more engaging because I was having more fun. And I've mentioned I've spent a lot of time. I was years into my improv journey and I wasn't having fun. And I knew intuitively that it was important to be having fun. Like you, as the artist, when you're out there performing, you want to be goofing around, you want to be having fun. And I wasn't for a long time. I was way too petrified and all those sorts of things. So where am I going with this? It wasn't that I became a better improviser, and so then I wasn't feeling stupid anymore. It was actually a couple things going on there. I had also become more comfortable with just putting myself out there in front of people and realizing that I didn't need to take it personally, and that I was learning, and I'm going out there and I'm like, okay, that was a failure. That was a failure. That was stupid. That wasn't funny. That wasn't a good idea. Wow, why did I come up with that bizarre thing? We kind of do all these things, breaking the so-called rules by asking questions or being in denial or having conflict. I had that a lot. I had, for years, I was, making those mistakes, and then feeling really bad about it. Now I don't make the mistakes so much, and more importantly, I don't beat myself up about it and have a really big thing. I just go, oh, I'm going to have another opportunity. I have we always have other opportunities, and I think it's a good, analogy for life or whatever. So that's the psychology side. Improv will get you comfortable, being comfortable with the uncomfortable, and it really does start to whittle down your inner critic. And you will start to give yourself credit for simply taking the bold action. However you look, whether you fail or whether you succeed, again, man in the arena, when you're the one in there fighting, um, you deserve all the credit, whether you win or lose, because you're the one that put yourselves on the line. And we have to just take credit for that. Okay, so on the artistic side, on the how to improvise side, we've been talking about, we walk into improv scenes a lot of times, we don't know what the heck we're doing. What are we talking about? What are we doing? I don't know who to play. I don't know what to do. And as we train in improv, we're trying to give ourselves tools and assets to um, give ourselves something to slide into. Again, this can be body language, this can be physicality to inform how you feel. We've talked a lot about theme in some of the exercises we do, where we try to garner what are we talking about, so we can explore that topic. And again, if that's nervousness, if I walk out into a scene and I see someone that's nervous, let's explore the topic of nervous, and we can take the context of that scene, the who, what, and the where, and what are we doing, where are we, and we can say, how am I nervous? How are we nervous, the two people on stage, and how is the world nervous? And we take that and we just make it a scene about nervous, and explore that theme. And then the other thing I'm going to introduce well into this video is, wow, this is really long. Okay, I'm going to keep going. All right. Is the idea of status. Okay, so I'm reading Keith Johnstone's book, Improv Again, and I haven't read it in a really long time, and it's one of my favorite improv books, and I'm so glad I picked it back up, because he, in literally chapter 1, after he goes through kind of his life story, which is very interesting, and how he got into improv and the theater, he talks about status. It's like one of the top things he does. So, and he talks about how in theater and in comedy, having status, if you have two players out, or it doesn't really matter how many players are out, picking a status amongst the performers is really critical. And the idea being that you want to be playing a little bit higher status or a little bit lower status than the people on the stage. And this is really interesting because, and we're going to work on this in class, I'm going to start peppering this in as an exercise so that we start working on the status muscle. And because there's going to be a little bit of an art form to that. But so it could be something as simple as two people walk into a scene and one person says, I like dark roast coffee. Okay, that could simply be a line of initiation. And so from a status perspective, you can either take higher status by saying something like, dark roast is, that's considered the poor man's coffee. The medium roast is superior because the beans are only in the thing. Like, you could take a status over that guy, or you could say something like, I just drink instant coffee. I don't even know what kind of roast it is. So in so doing, by either taking the higher status, and this guy makes his initiation about coffee, and you go above him, you have created a character. You have created something about yourself that you can continue to play. So in the context of that scene, you are this high and mighty type person, and you could take on the body language with the posture, with erect posture, and or if you're taking the one of the instant coffee guy, you might be slumping a little bit more, and you're that guy. And the comedy comes because if you're playing low status in a scene, every little thing can be like, I love fresh air. Well, the air I breathe is, I live next to the bus station. So everything can be, and it gives you ideas on what to play. So we're going to work on how to play higher and lower status. And interesting, when I was reading the book, from a body language perspective, if we talk, and this is in real life, if you talk with your head perfectly still, you don't move your head while you're talking, that is a very high status position to be. And they've done a lot of psychological studies on these sorts of things, and this one in particular. And so, in the military, the people in command are taught to not move their head when they talk, because it um, just the body language alone kind of elicits an air of superiority and all that. So I like the status thing because you can actually look at it in your real life. If you're swaying a lot in your real life, if your posture's low in your real life, um, you can be taking lower status. And when you take lower status, that's what you end up with. Um, so is that what you end up with? I think you know what I mean there. You're actually going to be playing that role. Everyone is going to subconsciously see you as that. One other little quick story on this. When I'm doing a theater performance, and I'm one of the more beginning people in this. So I'm not a great dancer or a great singer, and I'm kind of amongst a whole bunch of people that are better singers and dancers than I am, because this is kind of what they do, and I'm more of a amateur weekend warrior type. But I'm in a rehearsal recently, and um, I was nervous. I was anxious inside. I was sweating out my armpits, and I was like, I kind of had a high heart rate. And I took the Wonder Woman pose, and I've sent this out in that TED Talk from that female comedian. And I put my arms on my side, and I stood with my legs apart, and this is really important, on the balls of my feet, leaning forward in the Wonder Woman position. And all of those physical symptoms that I had, the sweating and the heart rate, they all went down. Now, and this is interesting on a status perspective, because I remember I stood tall and proud, and I had conflict in my mind, because I'm thinking, why am I looking big and bold here when all of these guys are better than I am? I should be the one kind of hiding and shriveling away. And I think we all do that a lot in our life. And there's really no need to. I'm like, I can stand big and tall and be in this position here, even though these guys are better dancers and better singers than me. They have more experience than I do. So you walk into an improv class, and everyone is better than you, and you feel uncomfortable, so you shrink down. And I would argue, I'm sure many would, that really doesn't make a lot of sense. You might as well go, no, I'm here. I'm not any better or worse than these guys. Yeah, you have more experience than I did, but that doesn't mean I'm any lesser, and that I need to play a subordinate role. So I'm going to continue to work on that. We'll continue to go through that body language in class, so that we all, in improv and in our real lives, can take that position of strength, and being relaxed and more in the moment, and knowing that we're ready for whatever the challenge is at hand. Wow, this is a really long video. So we're going to work tomorrow on all kinds of cool stuff. Hope to see you there. Peace up.